All right, to this now, President Cyril Ramaphosa has cracked the whip on Gauteng government officials. In his opening address to Gauteng Provincial Executives, the president denounced the state of municipalities in the province, particularly the Johannesburg Metro. Ramaphosa called on the executive to fix the province ahead of the G20 summit of heads of state, but also for the broader good of the country and its citizens. We've now roped in political analyst Bongani Mahlangu to weigh in on President Cyril Ramaphosa's meeting. Bongani, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So President Cyril Ramaphosa, interestingly enough, has emphasized the importance of making Gauteng metros presentable ahead of that G20 summit later this year. Now, he's essentially calling for officials to wow visitors who will be coming to the country. What do you firstly make of this particular oversight visit, and perhaps how the president's statements could be interpreted by those who have for many years now been calling for a better basic service delivery?
No, thanks. Greetings to you, Nati, colleagues in studio, and also viewers at home. So to make a statement that beautify Gauteng, that means its municipalities, for the sake of visitors attending the multiple G20 work stream meetings, it's obvious it will be received negatively by permanent residents of Gauteng, of South Africa. Also, if you look even into the direct economic impact of participating in the G20, it's neither here nor there, because the G20 sits and discusses issues of financial and economic importance globally, and then those issues are taken to other multilateral platforms, and not necessarily any direct benefit is accrued from hosting or being president of the G20 for the citizens of any country that hosts it, in the Troika in this case and context. So to say beautify for a one event is incorrect. What should happen is that we should have municipalities that function throughout the year, 365 days, 366 days on a leap year, and serve the needs and interest of the citizens of those municipalities. Now, to go to the second part of the question is that you do not just make such statements and do nothing. What do I mean? So the Constitution, starting from there, does give powers to national, provincial governments to make meaningful interventions in municipalities that may not necessarily be doing what they need to do. If you look at 152 of the Constitution, it speaks about the objects of a local municipality, what they must be doing. If you look into section 154 of the Constitution, it says that national and provincial governments must intervene, or rather must assist municipalities to carry out their functions. I'm summarizing it. And then 154(2), subsection 2, it says that national and provincial government can develop legislative instruments to make sure what is in 152 happens. There's also an instrument in this case and context because it's a precedent, so that's national. There's an instrument in section 139, subsection 7 of the Constitution that speaks about national interventions in municipalities that might not necessarily be functioning accordingly. So if the president has identified that Gauteng municipalities, especially your Johannesburg with its 80 billion rand budget, Eguruleni with its 60 billion rand budget, City of Tshwane with its 151 billion rand budget, and Gauteng as a province with its 156 billion rand budget, the president has the legal instruments to make direct and meaningful interventions to change the status quo around. So a president cannot be making statements that are not followed up by actions within the provisions of the law.
And I think that's probably what is at the center of some concern from residents. I mean, there are tools, as you've also indicated, that could have addressed some of these concerns. I mean, when one looks at those in terms of programs and interventions, we speak about the district development model. So to what extent then do the tools that are provided in the DDM model that are meant to assist government structures from national to local municipalities to work in a coordinated fashion, deliver service delivery to South Africans, nationally, to fast track these systemic issues like electricity and water challenges, crumbling infrastructure. I mean, I could name and go on. Roads with broken traffic lights, especially in provinces like Gauteng, where most of these meetings of the G20 will be held later this year. Can we not use that as a vehicle to perhaps fast track some of these interventions that the president wants to see come the end of the year?
Definitely we can. I mean, even the citation of DDM, that is a product that came out of this president. So from his first tenure as a president or his presidency. So he should know it better than any other person that is currently there in national parliament or anywhere else, in fact, within the spheres of government. So now, when we look into the DDM, it's those good pieces of policy and legislation, but then underutilized. If you look into DDM, committees or DDM structures, they are not necessarily functional in most spaces. If you look into the people that have been assigned responsibility as DDM champions, they are not doing what they need to do. So the first question would then be, who is then responsible for the coordination of DDM? And you'd find that at national, it will most likely be COGTA and also at provincial governments. Have they been doing their job? These champions that have been rather assigned or allocated, national, provincial, district, if it's a category C municipality, metropolitan, if it's a category A municipality, are they doing what they need to do? What forces them to do what they need to do? Is this coordination of DDM in their performance contracts? Do they get penalized if DDM meetings or forums do not actually operate in accordance to the legal or policy framework that exists? So now you'll find that the question would be in the negative in most of those answers. Those things are not happening. So then you have this good tool that brings all the spheres of government to one place and ensures that there is a one plan that is created and it works to the benefit of everyone, but it's not happening. Why? Because there are no consequences when it does not happen. So then the president, with the powers he has, he should then start at national and ensuring that there are consequences for the DDM not being exploited to its fullest potential, not just in Gauteng, but each and every other part of the country. Because if the DDM was fully implemented, it would not just address your basic service issues in municipalities, but it will also address the issues of local economic development. People would be getting jobs. These municipalities would be generating revenue. Lives of people would be actually improving materially. Yeah. But because DDM is not doing what it's supposed to do, those things are not happening. So the president has the power to speak and ensure things happen, but unfortunately he's also not using it.
And that's exactly what I was going to talk about, the political will. But Bongani, we have run out of time, but thank you so much for those key insights there. Political analyst Bongani Mahlangu there for us, of course, just continuing on the spotlight on President Cyril Ramaphosa and his visit to address the Gauteng Provincial Executive, of course, also denouncing the state of municipalities in the province, particularly Johannesburg Metro.